Greetings gastronauts, this is Keith Cooks, I'm Keith, and today I'm going to show you how to make a traditional English dessert, Bakewell tart. So you might think the name comes from it being baked well. I know I did when I was a stupid kid, but you'd be wrong. It's named after the English town of Bakewell in Derbyshire, where it originated. And basically it's an open top flan with buttery short crust pastry, a layer of strawberry or raspberry jam, and a layer of almond flavoured frangipane and flaked almonds on top. It's delicious. There's also a variant which is individual ones, sometimes called cherry Bakewells. They're the same kind of thing, but with a layer of icing on top and half a glacé cherry. Pointless. But my one is wonderful, so let's do it. Ingredients for the pastry for the Bakewell tart. I've got 140 grams of plain flour, all-purpose flour, 85 grams of butter, unsalted butter, half a teaspoon of salt, and enough cold water to bring it together into a dough. So first thing to do is pop the salt in with the flour, give that a good stir together, rip the butter into tiny little bits, and we'll rub that in with our fingertips, which hopefully should be nice and cold. Everything should be cold for this kind of pastry. So we rub the butter in, and we're aiming to get something that looks a bit like breadcrumbs. Right, fed up of doing that. So now we just pour in a little bit of water and stir it. A bit more water. Basically you just want just enough water to make it come together as a dough, and no more. It shouldn't be sticky. Okay, that's too much. So I think I'll just pop a bit more flour in. Alright, that's more like it. So what I'll do now is wrap that in plastic film, stick it in the fridge for an hour. Now we're ready to make the case for the tart. So I've got a 24 centimetre sort of flan tin, which I've buttered, and I've got some flour, I've got my rolling pin, and I've got my cooled pastry. So what we're going to do is roll this out and put it in the tin, and then we're going to blind bake it. I've got the oven preheating to 180 degrees Celsius. You know, I said it shouldn't be sticky. I was wrong. Well, I mean, it shouldn't be sticky, but it is a bit. Okay, now we'll just get this in the tin, trim off the excess and fill that hole. Now just stab the case with a fork, and the idea of blind baking is that you partially bake the pastry so that you don't get a soggy bottom. Now I'll just put some tin foil in there, and I've got all this rice that I bought by accident. I don't particularly want this kind of rice, but it'll do this job. And you could also use dried beans or lentils. It's just to weigh down the pastry so it doesn't fluff up while it's blind baking. And that goes in the oven for 15 minutes. Now after 15 minutes the pastry's a little bit cooked, but still could do with a little bit longer. So I'll take the rice out, or your beans or whatever, and I'll put that back in for another 5 minutes. Okay, ingredients for the filling. I've got some raspberry jam, or you could use strawberry if you prefer. 110 grams of butter, 110 grams of caster sugar, 110 grams of ground almonds, 2 eggs, 25 grams of flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and there's the zest of, well, supposedly half a lemon. There's probably about a quarter, doesn't matter really. And some flaked almonds to top it with. So basically with most of this, we're going to make something called frangipane, or frangipane if you want to be a bit Italian, which is a lovely almond flavoured kind of paste. Now we need to cream together the butter, which needs to be quite soft, and the sugar. And basically you want to get them well mixed and get a mixture that's creamy and fluffy. And this is one of the things I really hate about baking, because it is not easy. All right, that's looking okay. So now we'll incorporate the eggs one at a time. Don't add the next one till this is all fully incorporated. Second egg. And now we can add the ground almonds, the flour and the lemon zest, and the baking powder, which just gives it a bit of rise. I'll mix that really well together. Now we spread the bottom of the case liberally with jam, and then spoon in the frangipane, and that goes in the oven like that for about 20 minutes, and then we'll see how we're getting on. We don't put the flaked almonds on top yet because we don't want to burn them. Now then, Bakewell tarts had 20 minutes and it's looking a bit fab. I'm just going to sprinkle on the flaked almonds, and we'll pop that back in for another 5 minutes, and then it should be a thing of wonder. I am so looking forward to this. And there it is, our gorgeous Bakewell tart, and the flaked almonds very lightly toasted. I'm going to stick a skewer in to check it's cooked. That looks fine because it's not wet. And now we'll leave that to cool down and try and get him out of the tin. And now then, the moment of truth. This looks terrific. Tastes pretty good. Well done, Derbyshire. Well done, Bakewell. Lovely thing.
And that's that. Hope you enjoyed it. Now please share it with all your friends on social media. Subscribe to this channel, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and don't forget the amazing website that has all the details of all the recipes. And thank you for watching. Come back soon.